Okay, so for the body paragraphs, you need only two because it's only a 4-paragraph essay. So which way were you going to organize it? That's the first question. If you are organizing it by talking about one poem at a time, then what you're going to need to do is launch your first body paragraph with a topic sentence that can kind of generally cover everything, but makes it clear that you're talking about just the one poem. So, for example, maybe your sentence would be, so let's say you ended with a thesis statement from your introductory paragraph. So maybe you said something like, using nature, both poems create a different mood while remembering past loved ones. So that's your last sentence of your introductory paragraph. You probably have something better or something different. So you should have an introductory paragraph and you have your thesis statement setting the expectation of what everything else is going to be. So now it's time for first body paragraph. So you might start off with a transition like, for example, in Spring Harvest of Snow Peas, the narrator focuses on spring elements of nature creating a positive mood. That tells you that the rest of this paragraph is going to be about Spring Harvest, the poem. It tells you I'm going to talk about mood. It tells you I'm going to talk about spring. It tells you I'm going to talk about nature. I'm going to arrive at that, the positive perspective. So now I'm just going to go into all these different points, and you're going to want to quote things from the story. You're going to want to explain how that supports what you're saying about the poem, that this is more positive, or that this is a happier poem, or that this is a more uplift. Oh, I don't know what you're saying about it, but whatever you're saying, you need to connect that, draw connections, make inferences. Like I think the author's saying this. And then after you're done with that paragraph, you're going to start your next body paragraph by saying something like, in contrast, eating alone sets a different mood through the use of natural elements like blah, 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 period. And then you're going to go into detail. You're going to quote things from that poem. You're going to explain how those quotes support that. You're going to draw connections, make inferences. Make sure, though, that you write in a formal academic style. What that means is do not use personal pronouns, okay? So don't use personal pronouns. Don't say I or you or me. Keep it he and she and they. You can say the narrator. Since you're not sure if the narrator is a he or she, feel free to just choose one, just to make it easy. But be consistent. Don't say he and then change it to a she. And then make sure that your vocabulary is strong as well. So there should be no dead words, no got, no get, no like, want, says. Try to replace it with stronger vocabulary. In your first draft, you might have that, but you're going to need to revise that and take that out. If, however, you don't want to write it that way and you want to say something about one poem and immediately contrast it with the other poem, then you're going to not do it that way, and you're going to do it differently. You're going to create your paragraphs by the point that you're making. Okay, so if you liked the first way I just said, then just pause this video and get to work. Okay, don't watch the rest of this. But the other way you could do it is you can go straight into talking about mood. So you could say your first sentence could be, while both poems address the loss of a loved one, they create different moods. And then the rest of that paragraph, you're talking about spring harvest and how it creates a positive mood and how, using the vocabulary and using different elements and of nature and how things are like, oh, it's spring and it says unequivocally happy. And then you're going to contrast that with the other poem, Eating Alone, and now it says loneliness. So you're going to talk about both poems in that paragraph, but focusing on mood. And then you're going to go into the next paragraph and say, similarly, or likewise, both poems also contrast in the different types of nature they show. And then you're going to talk about spring harvest and how it's focused on spring, and then you're talking about eating alone and the different nature it shows there. You're going to talk about both poems, contrasting them in that paragraph, but you're going to focus on nature. Now, again, you don't have to talk about mood. You don't have to talk about nature. Those are suggestions, just because we're just modeling this right now. But if you've got another topic that you feel like you can do better, do that, okay? Do what you feel confident in. Okay, so that's the other way you can organize that. So choose which way you want to go, and then make sure you use transitions, okay? If you're comparing something, you're going to say similarly, likewise, in addition to, also, furthermore. If you're contrasting things, you're showing how it's different, then use those transitions. However, in contrast, on the other hand, and feel free, guys, you got Google at home, so please Google and use Google transitions, transitions to contrast, transitions to compare, and it'll give you examples. And if you're struggling trying to replace got in a sentence, then Google synonyms. So think about, definitely use the resources around you. All right, so you should have an intro and the 2 body paragraphs, so you should have 3 paragraphs done by today. Okay, so that would be staying on pace. So you're not having to work so much over the 3-day weekend. And then that's what we did in class today. They didn't finish their body paragraphs, so their homework tonight was just to finish their body paragraphs. Most students got through like at least 1 body paragraph, so like the midway through their 2nd body paragraph. So they're just finishing that for homework tonight. And then we're going to work on the conclusion tomorrow. So I will email or make a video or something for that too. All right, good luck. Bye.